Go.
Captain America Winter Soldier kicks off with a fight scene between Captain America and Batroc the Leaper. But how does Batroc's moves in the movie differ from his moves in the comics? Fighting show, assemble! We're going to be breaking down the first major fight scene in this film where Captain America faces off with Batroc the Leaper. And if you're a comic head, then you know that's an old foe, but this is the first time we see him, and he's played by none other than George St. Pierre. All the cool kids who love MMA just call him GSP.
His background in martial arts is Kyokushin karate and boxing, Muay Thai, certainly gymnastics, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Batroc's background in martial arts is the French art of Savate.
What exactly is Savate?
So Savate comes from the late 1700s in France, and it is thought that French sailors brought back kicking techniques that came out of Asia, and they implemented it on the ships and then began to practice in the ports. So in the 1800s, you would see the pugilists of England going against the French foot fighters, and they began to synthesize these two together ultimately. So that became the art of boxe française savate, which is a kickboxing art that's practiced today.
I just imagine these sailors and their sailor get-ups, the little knickers that they wear. That should be a Street Fighter character if you ask me. Heard it here first. So this fight is basically a hand-to-hand 2D side-scroller because we're just on a flat pane going back and forth between the two characters.
The interesting part about that is that boxe française savate is actually a very circular moving art. Savate is very much, it's called fencing with the feet and hands. It's about being in, being out, being in, being out, and never being struck by the opponent. The very first thing that you see is GSP right off the bat, jumping sidekick. That's one that can be attributed to Savate. That's a jumping middle chassé lateral. So it's a sidekick in Savate. You see a couple of those. Then that's a big jump flip and then an axe kick. That's one that you could see coming out of parkour, tricking, acrobatics, and gymnastics. Not necessarily something that we would attribute to Savate now. We see one big Superman punch, Superman punches. Those are all GSP. Those come straight out of his repertoire. And then you see a series of front kicks, round kicks, followed by Cap slamming him with the shield and then knocking him across the ship.
Yeah, and then there's that cool moment where Cap catches GSP with some knees, turns the tables a little bit.
I think if we look at that, Cap's physical ability, how he throws people around like puppets, anybody who can eat 3 knees from Captain America is going to be a tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a really good exchange. They're doing a back and forth brawl where they're in the use of boxing, hands, being able to use knees, the kicking techniques. The fouette is the round kick that comes out of Savate. Punching techniques that GSP is throwing. Boxing is integrated into Savate. And then the last move, Gab just dives on him, knocks him through a wall, boom, climbs on top, slams him in the face, and that's the end of Batroc.
Oh, this is awkward.
So do you feel like, what they implemented in these moves makes it more Batroc and less GSP, a mix of both, or more GSP than Batroc?
Well, with this one, I think it's really a mix. There are techniques that are absolutely culled from Savate that you could say, the chassé, the fouette, but there's a very strong stylistic slant toward GSP.
Queda por delante de este segundo salto. El 1-2.
Is there something in pop culture that shows a more pure form of Savate?
Well, actually, there is. If you look at Lethal Weapon 2, the end sequence where Mel Gibson fights the South African nemesis, they wanted someone who was being able to perform a very unique martial arts style. So they hired a saboteur. So if you look at the end of that, that is actually a pure Savate.
So we'll have to see if we'll ever see a truly pure Savate-trained Batroc in a future Captain America, and hopefully GSP comes back with a super tiny mustache. Only time will tell. So definitely make sure you subscribe to Gamma Ray. Tell us below what fight scenes you'd like us to break down, and where can people find you?
You can come to our website, ekata.net.
And y'all, thank you so much for watching. I'll see ya later. Bye-bye.